So, as of me recording this, Sonic Superstars came out today, October 17th. And of course, with me being me, I have some thoughts on it. However, I want you to understand that I did not want to go in this game like completely blind, because for a little bit of background information, I hadn't really played any 2D Sonic games. The most I played was like Sonic Color, which technically 3D game that's mostly 2D. But anyway, so with this game coming out, I didn't want to go in completely blind and be like, give it like unfair advantage, because I wanted to look at this game on how it builds upon the classic Sonic formula already like existing. So I may or may not have went back, bought Sonic Origins Plus, played all of those games, and then proceeded to buy Mania along with the DLC and play that game about 3 times. And I had a whole lot of fun doing it. And I also want you, like, if you're thinking that, how did you have enough time to get a full, like, good impression of this game, or even like an impression at all with having school and stuff? I did in fact skip school to play this game. And yes, I did fix it. So, my impressions. This is probably the best 2D Sonic game that we've seen thus far, which in terms of building upon what already exists and also reflecting and using what works that's already been happened, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. This game, just presentation-wise, is beautiful. I'm sure most of you have seen the trailers and stuff, but the graphics, I think it was a very, very smart move to use like 3D type graphics. Because yeah, pixel art would have been good, and it would have looked pretty. I mean, just look at Mania. That game has an amazing art style, mainly because it's just sort of mimicking what the classics did, but just improving it and sort of modernizing it. It kind of looks like if you put in like an old Genesis game in the Dolphin or something. But anyway, I think this was the right call in the graphics department. It looks amazing, and it also does the thing that Generations did, where it plays on the effect that you're now in 3D. Like, things can come at you from the background, kind of like the choppers in the first level of Sonic Generations, where you play as classic Sonic, where instead of just coming up from the bridge, they come up and around, and then they can attack you on like their path downward. It's just brilliant, and I genuinely can't believe that Sonic Team, of all teams, was actually able to pull this off. And you know, that might actually have something to do with the fact that apparently this game wasn't even handled by Sonic Team. I mean, yeah, sure they did like a few things, and they kind of kept things organized in the vision straight, but this was mainly handled by a third-party team, but that, yes, has worked with Sega in the past, but not directly on a Sonic game. I just think this game really shows that this team, this third-party team that mainly like worked on this game, figured things out, you know, really, really understand what made these classic games good and how they can be improved for a modern audience. Because, like, let's be fair here, I don't think that you could just pull like Sonic 3 Knuckles stuff, like game design, whatever, and put that in a modern game. I don't think people would understand it. It's modernized in such a way where it's not too easy, like, let's say, like Sonic Forces, but it's not too hard, like the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. It walks that fine line of just being, like, perfect difficulty and hardship, and just how all the mechanics from past and present are perfectly weaved into each other. And speaking of mechanics, I love that this game actually uses the Chaos Emeralds instead of just like Super Sonic. And I'm not super far in this game. I'm about like 2.5 hours in, and I don't know if there's Classic Sonic. Or, I know there's Classic Sonic, you play as him, but I don't know if there's Super Sonic. Which yeah, will there more than likely be? Yeah, probably at the end, defeat Eggman, big spectacle, whole thing. But for forever, I thought it'd be a super cool idea to show that, like, what each individual emerald can do. Because, like, if you think about all these emerald powers, they all have to have different things that come together and create supersonic, right? And I think it's so smart that they're like, okay, let's actually use the emeralds, but have them like an actual mechanic instead of just like final level new control methods, like go fly. Which that's also something like that Sonic Frontiers did very well, because one of the problems with Supersonic is like you go from running super fast and like dodging and doing quick times the entire game to like flying somewhat slower in this more like action-oriented gameplay, and that the rings actually kind of matter. They're part of your life bar, like they deplete. So I think that this game, like, it did it right, because yeah, it would have been fine if they just were like, Eggman stole the emeralds and he's at the end of the game, whatever, you become Supersonic. That would have been fine. It still would have been cool because it's like a Sonic game. It's Supersonic. No matter how many times you use him, he's still gonna be a little neat. But I just think that it was the right call, and that each emerald has a different power. It keeps the gameplay fresh, but like it doesn't keep it confusing, because you're never gonna have like so many things, so many options that it's gonna mess with you. You're gonna have them one at a time, and you're gonna be able to get used to them. It's gonna become like muscle memory. And I just think that it was the absolute right call. However, this game isn't like, it's not all sunshine and lollipops. Even though I talked praise about the 3D graphics, I still think it would have been so cool if they did like 2D, like hand-drawn illustrations, kind of like Wario Land Shake It, just like that type of thing. Even if it replicated the old Sonic CD intro or the Mania and even this game's intros, I think that would have been so cool. But I do understand that, you know, 3D graphics are a lot easier to actually do, instead of like, because all hand-drawn, that takes so much time. I mean, like, my videos aren't really anything to compare about that, but it takes a while to do like the frames and whatnot, and even how like to map the animations to certain controls. It's just, would it have been cooler? Yes, but the 3D graphics are still fine, and I understand why they did it. But my complaint is, and it's not really their fault. Like I think literally most of the recent 2D games, like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze or any of the new Super Mario Bros. Games, they all do this, where they kind of like, it could be like an in-game cutscene, or like whatever, like an in-game cutscene where like they're completing a level, or like boss fight or whatnot. I hate when the camera's kind of at an angle and you see like the ground they're running on, because it just looks too flat. It doesn't make the world look lived in. It doesn't look like an actual place. It looks like a video game terrain. Like, and that's not cool. Like, yeah, this is a video game, but what's cool is you want to like be immersed. You don't want to think that you're just running through video game levels. You want to think that you're running through like this big open place that like you can do whatever you want in. And that's what Generations did very well. That it made like Green Hill, not to like come back to the first level of classic Sonic and Generations, but it just did such a good job of making Green Hill just feel like a living place, like something alive, something that was like, you can believe that like Sonic's from here and that he runs around all these places. And I just think, like, for the most part, this game does, like, it's so good at that. Like, not often in this game, really, not at all. Only sometimes when like some of the platforms are floating, which that's a Sonic staple, so I'm not really mad about that. Like, I don't blame the game for it. I just don't like when games do that. But like, this game, for the most part, it does so good at making this place seem livable. Like, these islands, or not these islands, the area that you're running around in. And I think that's very good. That's very important to game design, especially in a 2D game. because you're seeing things from one perspective. 3D, it's harder kind of to mess up, but yeah, I don't know. But it just, like, that's literally my only one complaint. The game plays perfectly. I love all the playable characters. I've tried them all out. Sonic is my just default because I'm generic and stupid. Tails is fun. Tails is probably the worst in my opinion, because it's just Sonic but fly. Knuckles is cool because he can climb, and Amy's hammer is great. All the playable characters and everything is super fun, and I could talk more about it, but I don't really want to get into any spoiler territory. I just want to say that if you're even a little bit hesitant over this game, if you even enjoyed the past classic Sonic games, buy this game. It is a perfect, absolute perfect representation of what classic Sonic was and what he can be in the modern day. And I think I've rambled for long enough now, so let's get on to the outro.